OTR, welcome to the Chasing Creativity podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Dude, of course. Okay, so I, as always, am super excited to do these episodes. And this one, I think, in particular, because you and I mean, we were just talking about it for 20 minutes, but we share a similar start, a similar background in a lot of ways. So I'm really stoked, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, so, do you just want me to start off where I guess I started?
Yeah. So, let's take it back to how you got introduced into music, how this all kind of began for you.
I wasn't talking about this initially because I kind of wanted to surprise you, but so like I told you earlier, I was studying Aerospace Engineering. And then, so my school had like a mandatory 3 co-op rotation to graduate type of deal.
Okay.
So when I was applying for my second co-op rotation my junior year of college, I guess. And I wasn't really landing any jobs, and I finally got like a last minute email from my university asking basically like my entire department if somebody wanted to go to Japan for 8 months.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, well, might as well just take them up on it. And I took the plunge. So I moved to Japan, and during that time I wasn't in Tokyo or anything. I was kind of in the middle of nowhere. And I was working for a steel manufacturing company doing like research for corrosion. So I was basically watching paint dry. So, I mean, it's actually slower than paint dry. It takes like, it took, honestly, one sample took like 4 months.
Holy shit.
I had like nothing to do. And so I bought like a MIDI keyboard, and I had my laptop, and that's when I started really kind of getting into it, into music stuff. So, and I, some of that, I think I heard a little bit of, or I found some, but it's cool. No, I love it. I did my research. Okay, good.
No, but I think that the first thing that came to mind was it's incredible that at that time you bought a MIDI controller. Did you have experience playing music or playing piano early in life, or was this kind of a start to?
Well, I didn't really play beforehand. I guess growing up, I played guitar in high school. But that was just for fun. I think that was just me messing around. And then in college, my freshman year, there was a grand piano in my dorm hallway. And I would just play on that because that's where I taught myself piano.
Damn, that's crazy. Yeah.
Because like after math exams or something like that, I'd be like totally dead, and I didn't want to think about anything. And I would just bang on it, and then eventually, I remember when I started getting, I guess, decent, and there was this kid studying, and he had his headphones on, and then when I was getting up to stop playing, I turned around, his headphones were off, and I was like, okay, all right,
Were you listening? That's a good sign.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
that was kind of cool.
So was that more when you say teaching yourself? Were you, because we talked about this, not a lot of sheet music for both of us. Like I can't read sheet music for the life of me. So were you kind of just playing by ear, listening to different songs you like, or what was that like? Yeah,
I was playing by ear, but also I was like looking up YouTube videos on how to play songs that I liked, and then from there I think I started recognizing different like chord patterns, and then I think I started figuring out, my hands need to be this spacing for this chord, and then I could transpose that between different scales or different keys. So then I like kind of figured out different scales that way after like learning certain songs, and then kind of just going from there. So
that's really incredible, because I'm picturing this time period. I know you have releases in like 2017, so I have to imagine being in college, this wasn't that much, that wasn't long before some of these releases, which are beautiful tracks. Yeah.
It was, I've been doing this for, I think the learning part, like freshman year to when I started actually production was probably, I think 3 years.
Okay.
So that's 3 years. And so really, I guess, I guess that was like 2012, 2013. Right.
Okay.
I don't know. So
yeah.
A bit of time.
Yeah, that's incredible though, man. I love that kind of stuff, because hearing that path of going down kind of the standard path of getting a degree, entering the working world, right? That's what everyone mostly is kind of going along, right. And you found something along the way that captivated you in a sense that. Now today you're not really going down that 9 to 5 path. It's more 100% into music, and just taking that leap is fascinating to me. I love it. It comes up on this podcast a lot, which is awesome. But it's just so cool. And I don't know. I just love hearing these stories. So when were you kind of at that place where you knew, okay, this is something for real. This is something I really want to do with my life. And I want to start deviating from this engineering world because go ahead. Sorry.
Well, yeah, I was just thinking like it was a gradual process because I think I actually really liked engineering too. I liked that's why kind of everyone who does aerospace engineering, I think, is a little bit crazy and into like going explosions and I don't know. Like totally. We're like just as I think passionate about like space and all that stuff as we are, but like as I am at least about music. But I think having, because I like I said earlier, I worked for Lockheed, and having I think experienced both Lockheed and then experiencing what I get out of music, I just kind of knew that if anything started getting traction, that I would take it more seriously. Yeah. And so I think after my first EP is when I really started like kind of honing in and trying to really make it happen, I guess.
Yeah. Dude, it's so cool because I love that. I love because I've heard from people who reach out just around the podcast. It's like, hey, how do I get started? You know, what do I do? And the answer I think that's really important is never to just that first. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's so important to balance these things as you're starting out because you weren't just way back saying, I'm done with engineering. I'm going to just start. You know, it does take time to develop these skills. It really ends up being as if you're managing 2 full-time jobs, you know?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you get home at like 5 p.m. and you make dinner, but as you're making dinner, you can start production and all that stuff at the same time. And I think it's just really balancing your priorities at that point, right? It's so, I mean, I wasn't really doing anything on the weekend. I was just kind of writing and getting everything in order. And I think, at a certain point, once you decide that it's going to be the main thing, it has to be becoming like the main thing. Like it is like another job almost. Yeah. So
yeah. And I think that's what I've learned about this whole path, speaking with people, thinking about this path of starting the podcast and working on music on my own. It's the hardest part, I think, is having that belief in yourself first early on that, hey, this can be something. And then starting is so hard because no one knows of your music starting out. You have no connections. Right. You know, it's really daunting to say, I'm going to balance this thing in parallel. But then as the ball starts moving, you got to be thinking, okay, people are noticing my music. I'm getting picked up on more playlists, etc. This is something real. I'm going to jump into this.
Yeah. I think just like looking at what's right in front of you is the best way to go about doing it too. Cause if you have your sights set on like the biggest label possible, then it's going to seem very daunting. But if you just look about like, oh, well, like I remember waking up and Port was on like the blog called The Hilly Dilly, and I didn't know what that was, but I was like so excited. It was like almost just as exciting as when I got signed, like because at that moment, like I didn't even think about, I guess, like moving things in a more professional direction. I was just really excited that somebody liked it, and then going forward from there, you can develop new goals that way. I think it's just looking, just like kind of having realistic stepping stones. Yep. And then going from there.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. And I think that having the background, I'm guessing, from doing something like an engineering program kind of teaches you those steps too, because that's what I learned from myself is going through a challenging program. I learned really what it means to work. Right. You know, before that, I was a fuck up, honestly. Before the engineering program. No, it's okay.
I almost didn't make it.
Yeah, man. It teaches you just like, the biggest thing I found was when you put like effort in, you get something out, you know? And then now I think, okay, I can take those skills that I've learned and then apply those to different things. And I think that's probably, I'm guessing that's something you kind of found with the music thing. You're like, okay, if I put effort into this, I'm seeing these different things come out. It's just stepping stones, as you mentioned, little steps. Yeah.
Also, engineering taught me like realistic expectations. Like, like I remember freshman year, we're all like, oh, I'm going to build a fucking rocket. Right. I'm going to be going, actually wanted to be an astronaut, but I'm colorblind, so that's impossible. Just like getting all your hopes squashed in freshman year, I think taught me to just really take things slow and kind of having like realistic expectations. So
dude, I love how you say that,
You know what I
because
mean?
that just brings me back to freshman year. Totally. Like, I told my girlfriend I was going to work at NASA when we met. We've been dating 4 years now and not working at NASA.
Right.
You know?
No,
So
I had an interview with NASA, and
oh, really?
like I knew instantly after that interview that I was not going to be working at NASA. Like, they're like their questions are pretty difficult.
Yeah.
And he was like, if you, and they weren't even too, like, conceptually they weren't too hard. They just they put me on my toes, I think. So right. And so, and I could see the guys that were in my class that were working for NASA, and I was like, I'm not that smart, but it's okay. That's
another thing is I think about that stuff a lot, especially related to music, related to these things I do outside work. And I think it's important to work really hard at things you're good at, because I was working so hard to get through that program. And there were people that naturally just could code. It's just like they were born to code. Right. And, you know, and I got through the program, but if I went down that path for the rest of my life, I would be challenged for the rest of my life. And I think finding things that you're naturally good at that click, and then when you put time into it, you're like, oh, this is opening up a little bit. Right. That's really, really, really important.
No, that definitely, like, I mean, I had the same exact experience going through college. I actually coming back from Japan, I like had a better work ethic, I think, because it was basically like a very routine thing. So I was able to really get my shit together like those last 2 years. But I think working through that, I like kind of understood that the sedentary, like, cubicle life thing. I know that's like everyone says that, like, oh, I don't like working in a cube, but like I would probably have been a field engineer or something like that. I probably would have preferred to do that, I think. Afterwards.
So. I think a lot of people, especially people that end up making music or doing something artistic or really creative, kind of have something inside themselves where they don't quite fit in the box, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's hard. It's hard to fit yourself in there if you feel like you got to be doing something different, you know? Yeah. Maybe like a little bit of stubbornness or something. I don't know. I was always stubborn though. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. Oh, so. I was so stubborn. I really fucked around until age 24 when then I got my shit. And it's funny because when I was in middle school and high school, if you went back and told those teachers I was going to do engineering, they were like, I got horrible grades. I was a bad kid, man. But so really, really stubborn. And I think that's, I don't know, that's, it's interesting because then I think you're a little bit more maybe honest with yourself when you're enjoying something, you're not enjoying something, you know? Yeah, I think so. But also at the same time, like, when I am skeptical and then somebody is like, hey, no, you should really try it. And then eventually I try it for myself, like on my own time or something. And then I do mention that I enjoyed it. And then people are like, you're fucking, I told you that you would like it. It's like, I know. Okay. So there's a little bit of like wasted time, I think, with just being stubborn. But that's also good. Like, my parents were wanting me to learn piano. Like, growing up, they always told me I should get me lessons. And I was like, if you get me lessons, I won't like it. So so I just never learned until I was in college. And now they're like giving me shit all the time. Like, this could have been sooner. Like, I don't know. So. But maybe it's like those different paths you took early on led you to get here, you know? I mean, you just never know. Maybe if you started then, you could have been a concert pianist right now. But
like
maybe that's
like
not the
Ludovico or something.
Right.
That would have been different.
Lang Lang.
I love him though. No.
Yeah. I love Lang Lang.
Yeah.
Do you like Lang Lang? I
actually don't know Lang Lang.
You should go check out some of his. You should check him out. So he is like the most expressive concert pianist I've ever seen. Okay. He does this. You'll find if you search some YouTube videos of Lang Lang, it's very. You'll enjoy it, man. Very, very expressive. But yeah, man, I just think that how we're probably around the same age. I'm guessing. I'm 30.
Oh, I'm 27. Or turning 27. Okay, so, I'm turning 27 soon, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
So accepted it that I'm.
Yeah, exactly. So later 20s, 30 on the mark. You know,
it's all hard.
Yeah. But I think that at this stage, at least I've found for myself, when I kind of have gotten through things like this, like a difficult program, I've learned really what it means to put time into something and see what comes out. This is a kind of age that I've been able to have these experiences and now see, okay, I have a better sense of what I like doing, and now I know what I want to do, which takes some time. So, speaking to the piece about being stubborn and such, I mean, my thought is that led you along this path that, I don't know, gave you all these experiences, and now you're making beautiful, beautiful music, you know?
Well, I think I've been fortunate enough to have had the opportunity to have some crazy experiences. I think like going to Japan definitely shaped me in a way that was never going to happen unless I didn't go. Like if I didn't decide, and it's funny because my buddy's girlfriend was the one that was supposed to go. And they actually had her go over there for 2 weeks. She got like the full Japanese training. Like she went through 3 different language courses and all that stuff, which I never would have done because I would have been like, no, I'm already doing aerospace. Like I have enough on my plate. But because she dropped out and all that, like they needed somebody to go regardless. So those experiences have just shaped me in a way that I think allowed me to look at life a little bit differently or whatever. I don't know. But without that, I think, those later experiences in life have allowed me to pull from different things in my writing, I think, and has helped me kind of have new ideas. So. Yeah.
As I understand with Japanese culture, there's a huge emphasis on finding what your meaning is and in your vocation and committing your whole life to it. Versus, I think, and you of course will know better than I, but I think here in America, there's just this brutal work, and you barely have any time off. The culture is so different. Did you find a lot of that when you were?
I think they don't really have that much time off either. Their work-life balance is definitely worse.
Oh, really?
It's hard to explain. It sounds like, so like, for example, it's better if I just give an example. Like this guy that worked in my company, because we lived in the middle of nowhere, called Kurashiki, if I said that right. And that's like 2 hours by bullet train from Tokyo.
Okay.
And his whole family lived in Tokyo, and he worked in Kurashiki, and he paid for their housing and his housing, and he still worked like 15 to 12 hours a day, and he never got to see his family. And I was like, how are you doing this?
Damn.
How are you doing this? And he's like, I drink alcohol. And he's like, and I could tell because of how excited everyone was, because we would get like, I think it was like once every 2 weeks, we'd all go out as a company, and everyone was just so excited because they got to leave at like 5 p.m. instead of like 10 p.m.
Wow.
Which I never had to do because I was an intern, so they would let me go. They would let me go early, and they'd be like, who cares? But
that's
but I still think they're artists over there. I think they get a little bit of respect by doing. I think they get more respect than people respect artists here. Because I think they still value that. So I think in America it's very interesting because artistry oftentimes isn't appreciated unless there's some monetary or status piece to it. People definitely started respecting what my decision was once there was like a legitimate thing behind it,
right?
And it's hard to deal with that if you're in an environment that is like basically telling people they shouldn't be doing these things because it's dumb or bullshit or whatever. And so you wonder who just didn't get off the ground because they were just in a bad environment. But I just think like in Japan, once you decide you're not going to go down the work road, I think you'll get some backlash, but I think it's different still in a way. So I don't know. I don't really know how to explain that, but
no, I mean, I think I understand it. I definitely have experienced the cultural side here in the States where it's interesting. I mean, working the corporate grind, and I don't mean to harp on it because I feel like I talk about it on a lot of episodes, but yeah, it is very different. I mean, the one thing I found with myself, like when I interviewed for this most recent position, this is when, so I played music a lot when I was young, like in high school, guitar, I was in bands, and I played piano at a young life, but I gave a lot of that up when I was in the program, in the engineering program, because I just had no time. And then I found myself when I was in an interview and they said, what are your hobbies outside? And I didn't really have,
right.
And then I was thinking to myself, what, and I think a lot of times it can be it can happen before a person even knows it, but they get caught up working, and work just is so consuming that suddenly that's all you're doing. And then Sunday you're doing groceries, and then, you're back. So back. Finding that time. Finding that time to do something that's really meaningful to you, I think is just so, so important.
It's really important. I think that's what keeps people sane. I think even just like, I don't know, it's good to have that balance. Even now, like with music, like I still need to do other things or else I will go crazy doing just that. Like I have to force myself. Like I try to work out now. I try to have like times where I go walk and stuff like that. Like just go outside. Like it's just important to have some type of balance, or else you will go crazy. So even with the music, because that's a lot of people's dream is, man, I wish I wasn't working, I would just make music all day or whatever. But you do that. I've taken days off where I'm like, I'm just gonna work on music all day, and then at the end of the day I'm super burnt out. I was like, I've been in here all day. I just hear the same loop in your head over and over again. And then
You're
like, oh, okay, that's gonna be my dream tonight. Like,
so it is. You gotta have balance, and then you also, I think setting goals associated with whatever this creative path is really important too, because then you have things you're working towards.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Something that, and then it's good because I think, like for me at least, like the most fulfilled I have like from doing this stuff is when I have a goal and I've been working towards it for so long, and then like working hard for that, whether it's like working out and getting a certain number, or with music getting a certain like opportunity. That's like the most fulfilling thing, is just working towards those goals and having a set amount like that's spread out kind of, so you can kind of be like, oh well, I got the workout thing down and that's doing well, I got the music thing, it's going well, and like I don't know, just having those goals and getting those in order. It's kind of, that's another thing I think I got from engineering, is having like it's like systems engineering. I don't know.
That's what I was gonna say. 100%.
Little Gantt chart, and then have like I don't know. So
I think programs like that train you intentionally or unintentionally, and I'm talking about myself too, just in general, where they train you to have a goal and then like a test, and you're like, oh, I got, and you learn, you train your mind to get this dopamine rush. You're like, I got a B, I got an A, whatever. Yeah. And then you get out and you're still trying to do that process,
grinding.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. And it's like, it almost is like, well, I guess I'll never stop because I always want to keep going, like doing the next thing, I don't know. That's probably just inherently human, I guess. I don't know, but
I think it's a human thing for sure, but it is because there's no, I mean, there's this interview I listened to a while back with Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson on the Rogan podcast, which I love. And Jordan Peterson made this amazing point that I guess I just didn't even think through, like the idea that oftentimes when someone's working and they're grinding, whatever, and then they think, oh, if I could just be on a beach, I'd be happy, Yeah. But day 4 at the beach, you're going to be bored as shit,
Dude, even you have, I don't typically like going to the beach. I think it's I think it's just because you're just like laying there, right? And then, and then what? Like, So,
it's all about setting these goals, and then
that's so true though. Like you can't just have, especially with vacation stuff like that, and then that's also because if your thing is like, oh, I just want to be at the beach, and then day 4 you're bored of the beach, you're gonna look back at your life like, oh, I don't like the beach and I don't like work. What now?
What do I like? What do I like?
So,
man. It's an interesting balance, and this like on these episodes, it ends up going this direction because I think it's so fascinating hearing just people's story where oftentimes in music and creative pursuits, it's always a little bit off the beaten path. So it's always just such an interesting story to hear what that's like. And immediately when I was speaking with Nicole from Astralwerks, and that's, I mean, so cool that I want to get into it, but releasing now in Astralwerks with Shallou. And when she mentioned that you did aerospace engineering but moved into music, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be interesting, because cool. I think we've shared a lot of the similar, at least thoughts, and then definitely. Be like, okay, I gotta try some different things out. But
we definitely were through the same struggle.
For sure. Yeah. So what's this whole process? I mean, what's it like to have done this? Gone through this path, and now I read a little interview with you where you were kind of looking at your manager told you about Astralwerks. And you're like, oh, that's cool.
I remember I remember that conversation distinctly.
Right. You can tell.
Yeah.
I don't mean to. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, but like I was in a Kroger parking lot and I just had gotten groceries, and we were looking at a few independent labels for like I think I had written like 4 songs by then, and we were shopping them around. And he was like, this label called Astralwerks is interested in you, and I was like, okay, cool, but what about this label? And he was like, no, I don't think you understand. Go home, just look them up. Like, we're not going to be talking to those other labels for a second.
Yeah.
We're going to see how this one goes. And that was like back in July, so that it took a while.
That's
almost like 9 months.
Yeah.
And so once I got home, I looked them up. I was like, oh wow, they released Porter Robinson, and they had Halsey for a bit. I think she signed to Capitol now. And so I was like, oh well, I really need to get my shit together and focus on getting at least like something that they could really bite their teeth into, and like a substantial project, because I didn't think that writing an EP would really catch them. So yeah, I just really focused in. I wrote like 6 more tracks that made it on, because we're going to be releasing an album with them.
Awesome.
So,
yeah.
So I just really tried to hone it in, and just kind of kept my head down. Like, I don't know. Looking back now, that was a pretty like intense moment, I think, for like the next 4 months, because I just was like completely zoned in. I don't even remember what happened. Like, so I don't even. So I look back on some of these songs, I'm like, I don't even know how I wrote those. Like,
yeah.
But yeah,
did you respond well to that? Like that I mean, for myself, I would put pressure on. I'd be like, oh my god, there's like. So when you were in the DAW, then working on music, did you find that worked really well for you to kind of have this big thing happening, or what was that like?
I think I work well under pressure in that I was always, and this is also going back to engineering, but during school, like my friends and I would always wait till the last minute to get things done, and we would put an immense amount of pressure on ourselves to get these projects done, and I think that just will live inside me forever. So I know it was still like 5 or 6 months to get the project done, but I felt that urgency to get a lot of things done quickly, and because of that, I was able to really hone in and kind of get things working. And I don't always feel that way, but I think that pressure really kind of sparked a fire in me to get it going. And now that things have calmed down, like I'm kind of just chilling, and I can kind of take things a little bit at my own pace, which I hate now. I kind of want like another thing to like, I want the pressure again, because I do work well, I think, under pressure, and having like a finite, like, this has to be done by this week or else. I'm like, that or else is really killing me. I need so
you gotta go. You gotta start working. So that that's interesting, man, because I think that's just, I mean, that's textbook, just grinding through tests,
it is
100%. Just the worry, I would get I would have so much anxiety, man.
I do think I didn't really understand how it made me felt, like, anxious wise or like all that shit until after it was done, like after I signed it and all that stuff. Looking back, I was definitely like losing some hair over it, but I think I was able to calm down, like now especially. But I think I would have like those like intrusive thoughts, like every once in a while. I would be like, you got it, I don't know, like, you're not going to succeed, you got to get this shit done. And then I'll be like, all right, I gotta go. Like, I'm like wasting my time right now, I got to get this shit done. But that was like that happened for like 4 months. Like, it was like kind of a long time. So
did they give you a timeline, or did you just know you had to get something done? Like, did you have an idea?
I just think I knew when Shallou wanted to release it. I knew when other offers were coming in. And I knew, I think, a general sense of when we kind of wanted to get this thing wrapped up. So, but I knew so with Astralwerks, I think they wanted to see a certain like project come to fruition. And if that didn't happen, then the offer would be off the table. So I kind of knew that I had to get that molded by I think it was like before December, basically. So I basically did that, and then we were able to kind of get into negotiations after that point.
That's so cool, man. Because I love learning about what that process is like for everyone too. Because I've spoken with some people where it's hard deadline and just thrive, or the opposite where if there's that deadline, it's just gonna put out trash, and that's I think more along the lines of myself. If I go in, I'm just like, I'm gonna write the sickest song of all time. I have to do it by today. It's gonna be so bad. And then for whatever reason, just sometimes when I'm working on stuff, I'll put out stuff, or I'll come up with an idea that I'm most happy with, so it's cool to see that though, because everyone's different, of course,
I think
what that process is. Yeah, sorry.
No, I was gonna say like so like we were kind of talking about is more like, it's like you have like a session and you try to like write the best song ever. I don't think I work that way at all. Like I think sessions do put a lot of pressure on people. Like with my session with Shallou, I went to work with him on a song, like on a different instrumental actually. And that what we came up for it wasn't actually that good. It was, to be honest, it didn't really fit. But I think where I do work well is looking at what I have after the fact and then remaking it something that is decent once I've calmed down. I think once the session's over and kind of like gone through, the whole like, oh, I met Shallou, I'm like kind of nervous. We went through all these ideas, and then kind of going back home and then combing through everything and then kind of just it kind of like, I don't know, like being like a mule. I think it's like it's not like a spark of inspiration and going at it. It's kind of like really just like methodically combing through everything and then bit by bit piecing things together that you think you like, and then going from there. I think that's where I work well. But like the set timeline of like 2 hours, I think is like nothing. I don't think I could do that, or even like a day. I think that's really, it's a lot of pressure. So. Well, that's really interesting, because I think that sometimes it's funny to hear, and I've heard that with other people too, that initial experience where you're in the session or you feel really kind of with myself. I have one example that I think stands out a lot. Like I sent a remix to, I did a bootleg and I sent it to the person. I was like, oh, and I didn't hear back. Oh no. so, and this was really, really early on when I just started making electronic music. So I mean, it was garbage regardless, but I remember the next few days, I just had so much anxiety that everything was trash. So there's so much that goes into like your mental state, where you are when you're working on music. Sometimes it's getting to that place, wherever it is, where you just feel more at peace, more at home, probably like at your actual studio at home in the DAW. Then you can be like, okay, I feel, and then you can, And I think, what was it like? I had so many times when like I submitted to Suicide Sheep and he was like, sorry, not this time, like the automated message. I would just get, I'd be like, damn, like I think I submitted to him like 10 times. Like over the course of like 2 years, but like that's all normal. But
totally, 100%. That's what I was gonna say, is like everyone has to go through that. It's like you have to deal with like rejection.
What's even weird is like Port now is doing well, but like nobody wanted to touch Port back when I released it on SoundCloud, except for the one blog. But like Port, I think from like a random instrumental has, I think, had the most success. And so you can't really define like how your track's doing in the very beginning, because you don't know how someone's going to respond to it once their tastes have changed in the future. Because maybe like you'll fit like in a year, like you don't even know. Like I think that exactly stuff, like you can't really get yourself down over that. And I wish I knew that earlier, but like that takes time, kind of some time to really understand. But I don't know, stuff like that is interesting, I think, to me. So
and you want to be early. You want to be making something that's unique. That I think most people would say, they actually, probably everyone, if they're saying, would rather say, I'd rather be turned down early on, because everyone gets turned down. There's always everyone, and you want to be unique and early, rather than late to the party and making something that's already been done. I mean, maybe you'll have one or two tracks that click there, but where's that going to go? You want to have that unique voice and that unique sound that comes through. And I, of course, have heard it with your music. So I think it's really cool to see that process where you're doing something unique. It's part of the game, just keep grinding, and then it clicks. And now there's like this
so you kind of
crazy
like you find
trajectory.
like a wave, I think, And
Yeah.
it's like the matchup of you developing like a skill set where you can kind of mold your sound the way you want to. So like in the beginning, I didn't even know how to write anything, and then eventually I figured out how to write a certain genre, and now I think I know how to write kind of things that I kind of want to write. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
But so now it's like kind of just up to me and like my taste to like figure out what I actually like. But I think it's good though, because I went through like the whole like dubstep like phase where like I tried to make.
Were you making dubstep?
I tried to, and I wasn't good.
Yeah.
It wasn't very good. Like that's what I tried to make in Japan. Like I was just trying to make like, but I combined like piano with it because I thought it was cool.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
But it just doesn't. I didn't have like good speakers, and like that's definitely like the crutch. I'm gonna say like I didn't have good speakers, so it wasn't. I didn't know if it was good or not. No.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if the mix was bad.
Right.
No, but like I don't know. Like I think so having gone through like several different genres, like I think it's important too, because you can kind of tell if something's clicking with you in general.
Yeah.
So
I think that's so important, because I've played with other genres too, and I've heard this from just chatting with people. I think that trying those different things is so important, because when you find one that clicks for you, then you're like, because maybe someone who might not jump around as much might have just stuck with dubstep, and it just maybe for whatever reason you don't click with dubstep, and it just wouldn't have gone anywhere. But being more receptive to, hey, is this working well? Am I getting the right feedback? And then kind of playing with ideas. That's what's gonna. Yeah.
Now, and also like if you are learning different things, like I'm kind of grateful that I didn't get well known once when I was making dubstep. I don't know. So I just think like you said, I don't know, just reiterating that once you get to a point where you can write whatever music, you get to really think about the music that you're listening to and the music that you like, and then just I just think that is the point when people like say, oh, are you developing your own sound? And like that didn't really click with me. Like, how do you develop your own sound? That sounds impossible.
Right.
But now I think I'm starting to understand it's like you can just like write, and it's like writing a novel where you can just write words, and it just you can pick from different sounds that you just know. Like I know I have like a 20, I don't know, like maybe 100 different just like preset sounds that I made myself that I just have that I can just pull from and stuff like that. That just takes time. Right. You know what I mean? Like it just takes a lot of time.
Yeah. And now in the DAW what you're capable of. So just that whole experience, when an idea comes into your head, how to actually get it on paper, quote unquote, which makes which makes all the difference in the world.
And sometimes you like, I don't know, sometimes there is an idea where I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just gonna fuck around. Like, that's the best part about, like it's definitely like a balance of like fucking around and having no idea what you're doing, and then sometimes, and like I think the best is like when you have a framework of an idea, like let's say like an instrumental, and then I'm fucking around with that, and then I just pull up a plugin that I don't ever use, and then just fucking with that, and then maybe you just get some gold that way, because you don't, because then you have like your sound, your framework, but then like something on top of it that is different.
Yeah.
So.
And it's interesting, because when I think about songs that really stick out to me that are just beautiful songs that almost become kind of iconic for me over, I don't know, listening to music my whole life, it's these subtleties in a track that make it all the difference. It can just be the sound design of one lead or something that just makes it so different, or just an interesting chord progression, and boom, that's so unique and so powerful. So sometimes it's just that can push something over the edge.
Just a lot of like a lot of just one element, I think, that kind of sets the stage for a song, and like sets, like really puts people into the moment and like really captures their attention. I think that's like what is the hardest thing to find, because sound design for chords and like drums and all that stuff, I think a lot of that has been figured out, but still I think a lot of character comes from like lead instruments or vocal melodies, and that's why you can get sued over that shit. So because it's hard to do, like, and there are a lot of possibilities, and those distinctful sounds like capture people's attentions, and that stuff is really like what defines a song, to me at least. So
yeah, and it's a bit of a mind fuck too, because I think a person can write an interesting melody, but that sound design piece is so important, because if things don't just fit quite right, it won't translate. It's something
sometimes
is
it gets
it's
a little
like
cheesy. I don't know.
yeah, it's just something's and then but it's these tiny subtleties that make all the difference. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. That what comes to mind when I think about this is that that remix of Stoned. I love that track, man. In that middle section where it's more, you have the vocal part and then it leads into kind of like, I don't want to say drop, but it's like the arpeggiated piano part that's and I mean the sound design and how that portion is just so amazing, man. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything's amazing, but that must have been crazy, because I know that one was set 2017.
Yeah.
So that one must have been one where you thought, okay, something's
that was definitely
here.
like a changing, so I was actually in grad school at the time for Aero, and the department lost like every single faculty member that was in my specific field that I was studying, and so I couldn't do my research under anybody, and they're like, it's going to take another year to hire somebody. And I was like, shit, dude, I don't know what I'm doing. What am I going to do? And luckily I got a job at Lockheed, but during that time period, I was like kind of just doing nothing. So I wrote that song. And once I think it got like a number 1 on Hype Machine.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, all right, I'm going to focus on that. And that
was
changing. Like, so.
That's a good sign.
That was a good sign. And I was kind of jaded from, because I wanted to do Aero, but then that whole thing kind of just messed me up from like I was just like, it just definitely pissed me off, because like I finished all my classes in grad school. Like I did better in grad school than I did in undergrad in terms of my GPA. And I was like ready to go, but like it all just fell apart, and I was like, what the fuck? I was doing everything right. What am I?
Right.
I don't know. So I think I was like, well, music is doing well, so I'm gonna do that, because at least it's treating me okay. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a defining moment, yeah.
For sure, man. If that's not a sign, I don't know what is. That's so cool. I love that shit, man. Because like, right as one path is kind of getting weird. You know, things aren't working so well. It's like this other path that you've been working on. Boom, it clicks.
Yeah, it was. I don't know how to describe it other than I got really lucky.
Yeah.
It's not a normal thing to happen, and I always say like with some success, like, you have to work hard, you have to do everything that you can, but it's also rolling the dice as many times as you possibly can. You get more chances of getting lucky, and that was one of those instances where everything kind of aligned, and I was always working hard at it, but like that was just perfect. So yeah, that's kind of
that's so cool, man. I love that stuff. And now, so 2019, not to switch gears too crazy, but 2019 you have the album coming out. And I'm guessing now it's this wave. I mean, the wave is probably just totally, it's like peak wave right now.
Yeah, but it kind of feels this, I don't know, it's hard to describe other than like, because I've had my sights set on like one thing, then the next thing, I've said before, like it kind of feels the same, where like now I'm just working on this next step of the project, and I think it's just, there's more moving parts now, but I trust a lot of the people that I'm working with, and they're all doing a good job. So it's kind of like I built this machine almost, and and now and at the core of that is just me making music and making decisions about like branding. I don't know, but
yeah. Will there be, I'm guessing, kind of moving into the future, part of the idea is starting to tour, things of that sort?
We do have a budget set aside for that now, so we're talking with like a, I don't know the way to describe him. Like he's going to help me kind of develop my live set, because I think we want to do it right the first time. And we've already been talking with some agents, and a few people have asked me if they want me to support. So that's a good sign. But
that's sick,
we'll see how those things turn out.
Yeah.
As they,
I'm sure.
You never know. Like, especially with, I've heard live is like kind of like a game of like what is it, like musical chairs, where you're just like, there's like everyone's running around, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, all right, I got my spot. So there's a lot going on. Apparently, it's like a whole different world than just like writing and releasing music. So
right, yeah, it's got to be. I don't know a lot about it because from the people I've spoken with so far, I mean, guys, there's people that are touring, but there's this whole tier of guys who are at the top tier touring, and I would imagine that festival scene and the tour, like kind of this whole world's got to be just so interesting because it's a huge production. You know, those big festivals are a huge production. There's a ton of money behind it. I mean, you look at the ticket sales, and there's hundreds of thousands of people at these big events. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It is crazy, and I've just started noticing the pattern, like just because I have not been paying attention, but I've just started noticing like artists have their tour during like the fall, spring months, and then during the summer they have like those like big live show circuits where they just go on festival, like the festival circuit. And I'm just starting to realize like that those are two completely different types of production sets for those artists, and I'm now realizing that just means it's more money to invest in shit. So I'm just trying to get that shit together. Like it's crazy how much goes into that. And I don't know. So we'll see how that works out. But
I think my guess is the front end is a lot of that. I mean, timing, investment in time. I mean, it's this whole process. But these artists that start, you know, touring frequently and playing these festivals, I mean, that's just the next level in exposure. I mean, as we both know, that's how artists make their money because Spotify streams and I mean, it helps, but
it does help.
Touring is
touring is the moneymaker, I think. As long as you can keep your costs low, but luckily, like with electronic music, you can have a live set with some live acts and stuff like that, but it's, I think, relative to most people, it's a lot lower of a cost than other people. But I was gonna say, like, what was it? Who was I thinking of? I was saying, Petit Biscuit. I saw him in New York City at Rough Trade. Have you been to that venue? I don't know if you've been. No. But so Rough Trade is cool because it's a record store, and it's also like a little venue at the same time. So it's like a 200 person cap room.
I've seen videos. Now I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And it was cool because I saw him there. It was the first time he went to the United States, and it was right before the release of my remix with him. And he was like, "Thank you for my remix." I was like, "Yeah." Cool. He's like, "I'm playing." He was mentioning how he's playing again in where was it? San Diego. He's like, "Would you like to come hang out?" I'm like, "Dude, that's so far away. Do you not understand how big the United States is?" It's like I can't just drive. It's not like Europe. Dude.
Yeah, just start driving. Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay." But it's crazy to see how he's changed too, because he was playing those small rooms, and I was kind of eyeing his, like, what he was using even back then. That was like 2017, and how he's kind of changed through that, and now he's playing like 2000 to something like that cap room, and it's definitely changed.
Seriously,
how that's worked out. So
that's so cool. He makes some awesome music.
He's also really tall. I didn't know that. He's like 6'3".
How is he younger? Because I've looked at photos and he looks very young.
He's like, I think he just turned 18 or 19.
Oh my god, that's fucking crazy.
His first one, he was like 15. Sunset.
God, that's crazy. Like that. I didn't look a lot into it, but I looked him up when I started listening to his music. I was like, this guy looks super young. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's
wow.
He thought we were the same age for a sec, and I was like, "No, dude, I'm so old and tired."
Right, tired, dude. Yeah.
He's I don't know. Yeah, he's a young person. But
that's funny. My girlfriend is 4 years younger than me, so I understand tired, dude. She's more into the festival scene still, kind of a little bit starting to get out of it a little bit more, but I'm older now, and I just tired.
Exactly. I don't. Yeah, going to shows is not the same anymore.
Right.
I haven't been to an Odessa show though, and I'm going to one soon for the first time. So I think that might change my perspective on things. I don't know if you've been to one, but
so they were at Crossed when I was there, but Lane A was playing at the same time.
Oh man!
So I went to I picked Lane.
That's so tough.
It was tough. I don't
know. I just got into Lane A
right after. I forget. Yeah. Oh yeah. He's amazing, man.
But I probably would have gone to Odessa just because I've been a fan of theirs for a while. But Lane A. He's got a good live show too, though, right? Like his main thing is like he's really, because his music's really good, but I think I've heard that his live show is almost like somehow better than his music, just the way he's stitched together.
Well, yeah, he's done some interesting things. Like I've seen where he will do some more. He'll play live. I haven't seen one of those. I've seen videos, but that is really interesting. When I saw him, it was he closed out Cross, or there was one person after him, and he did a 2-hour set, something like that. It was crazy. But yeah,
wow,
I mean,
2
but I've
hours.
seen those. It was nuts. Or maybe it was an hour and a half. It was a long time. It was more than an hour. It was sweet though.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of his music, and I've had a couple of the people who release on his label This Never Happened have come on the show, which has been super cool. I mean, he's a very interesting guy because I know he looks to support a lot of the smaller artists who have almost no exposure, and he is so cool about listening to every track. He will get back to everyone.
Oh, really?
And yeah. So I really respect him for that. I think
cool.
He's doing a really cool job. Yeah. And then, I mean, part of this whole thing, which is so cool, is it's kind of all coming a little full circle. Is tomorrow I'm recording with Lunar.
Okay.
Lunar's now recording on or releasing on Astralwerks. That's how this whole thing kind of started. Yeah. I wanted to say that, I mean, Astralwerks for me has been fucking cool because they got back to me. They put us in contact. I mean, huge shout out to them. That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, what was I just think just meeting their team.
Yeah.
They're just good people. And it's hard to find that. Maybe not hard, but I think it's harder to find that in the music industry relative to other industries because there's just a lot of people that are just trying to like rise quickly and just don't care.
Yep.
And it's just, so I think like Astralwerks as a team have been really, really cool. And people are always like, oh, signing to a major, you're like worried about just them like fucking you over or like trying to just like take away your rights or whatever. I don't know. Like it's just like bullshit things that you hear from like pop stars.
Right.
Like, no, they care about like the project and all that stuff. And a lot of people say that, but like just from the way they interact with other people that they don't have to care about, I think you can see the way they are as like a group of people. So it's cool. Yeah.
I totally agree. I think it's so funny when you see a group of people like that getting back to someone like me, but then there's these tiny labels where I know people send in music and it's not even a response, and it's like, what's the I mean, it's crazy, and that just goes to show you where you put good people together, they care about these projects, they actually invest in the artists, they're communicating with people on behalf of the music, on behalf of the artists. That's when these things, and they've been around forever, but that's when these things are real. It's not.
Another thing I think is kind of cool, like most people probably don't know this, is like the way they do their A&R at Astralwerks is they do like a blind test, and they like one guy, I guess only one person will actually know who it is because somebody has to bring it in, but they'll just play it and nobody can see who it is, and they just have to vote on what they like.
Oh, that's cool.
The only way to get through, I think, is like you have to get like a perfect score basically from everybody, and then if everyone agrees that it's good, then you can go forward in the process. So
that's
cool.
So cool.
I think that's like an
interesting. Yeah,
because that just means it's like about the music at that point. You're
Yep.
not looking at like, oh, how many Instagram followers do you have, or like other bullshit, because it like people get caught up in that. So,
for sure, I've heard of venues now that will just put together events based on social media following. I mean, you can't think of anything more bullshit than degrading. That. Yeah.
Oh man,
it's ridiculous. But that's just gonna crash and burn, man. I think we're at an interesting time where there was the music industry before pirating music was one thing, and then we went through this whole pirating music, social media changed everything.
Yeah.
And I think that this weird obsession with social media, I hope, is going to taper off and refocus back on things, especially related to art.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, you already see like the interest in like Facebook has tapered off like incredibly, and Instagram is popular, but I think people's value in it might change over time, just like we've seen before with other, like, I don't think you could have told me in college or whatever that Facebook would have gone away, but it's starting to, and it's a possibility that people will start to value other things more, just kind of like how people buy vinyl now because they think it's cool. And like you probably never would have seen that or would have expected that like back in the early 2000s when people were pirating. You just don't know.
Right, for sure.
So
I think so. And I think this weird world of, social status, especially related to music based on, I hope, because I love that. I love hearing about labels that it's not about that shit,
that's true.
Because then, and that that's what's gonna end up being more important in the long run. And I just think I think it's a really smart idea. For real. That's cool. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's just this is all so interesting. And dude, like being able to just talk about all this stuff and first coming in and knowing we kind of had the similar, undergrad path. And you did grad school. I never did that, but still.
Well, it's still like I don't like talking about it because I didn't finish it. But it's kind of like a stain like that because I wanted to finish it. I just never that nobody was there. So
right.
Yeah.
But still, I think anyone, including myself, if I was in the same situation where I had a track like that and then this happened, I'd be like, nope, done. Sign me, I'm out, man. I'm fucking because that's so cool, dude. That's such a cool story too. I mean, for real, that's so fucking cool. And I really appreciate it. I appreciate this. I appreciate being able to chat. And dude, this has been super, super cool. And one thing, so if you're thinking about touring, I highly suggest Arizona.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah.
So, Arizona is a great place. Just don't come in like the next 4 months. It gets
Well, does it get kind of cold
It does.
What, winter months?
Well, yeah, I think around October to cool back down. Right now it's not bad. It's like 80s, but it's going to go up to 120 for
everyone says. But it's a dry heat, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's dry heat. Because you're in Atlanta, is that right?
Yeah. It gets hot. It's muggy though. It's already muggy. It's like 80 degrees and like humid. And
damn. Yeah, but dude, I that would be fucking cool. I always promote Arizona. A lot of people come through Arizona, and we can, if at any time, man, a year, whenever you want to do this again. This has just been super, super fucking cool, dude. I love this conversation.
No, this is great.
And if you want to,
it's always good to talk about engineering because no one really talks about it in music.
I know.
It's like I get my
man.
engineering itch scratched again. I don't know, so that's cool.
Yeah. I get that same response either now for us engineering or like people are like, man, this was cool just to chat about music for now because no one wants to chat. But it's true, like producers, you put producers together, man, and they'll just fucking talk about music. Yeah,
and I'm like, and with talking about music too, I enjoy it, but it's just, I don't know, it's good to have, like I said, well-rounded conversation, and this is cool. So I like that.
Man, so, dude, this has been super fucking cool. So I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.